Hi, I'm Rick with Allied ProTech, and in this video we're going to give you an introduction to AuviTran, focusing particularly on their AudioToolBox range of products, and how they allow you to bridge multiple audio protocols and matrix them together. AuviTran are a French manufacturer of professional audio products, distributed here in the USA by us at Allied ProTech here in California. With AuviTran we have three main product types. First, the AudioToolBox. Next we have some Dante breakout and break-in boxes, and finally some wall panels with I/O and control. We're going to start off by looking at the AudioToolBox, which is basically either a 3 or a 7 slot card frame that you can populate and configure with cards for different audio protocols. You can add cards for MADI, Dante, AVB, or even legacy protocols like CobraNet. Once you have them all connected in the AudioToolBox, you can matrix audio between them, sending audio from MADI to Dante, or MADI to AVB, Dante to AVB, MADI to both Dante to AVB, all at the same time. Here you can see an AudioToolBox loaded with a Dante card, a DSP card, an AVB card, and a MADI card. This main screen shows you all of the I/O metering at the same time, and if you click up here on the Matrix button, now you can simply matrix channels of audio between them. Simple and very powerful. So, looking at this in a little more detail, we have a 3-slot chassis, the AVB-X3, and a 7-slot chassis, the AVB-X7. Both of these have built-in power supplies with redundant DC backup power supply options, and both can be configured with the rack ears on the front or the back for use, say, in a typical installation rack where you want the connections on the back inside the rack, versus a Tour Sound stage box where you only want the power coming in the back and you want all of the I/O on the front to connect to. Both of these also have a pair of BNCs for word clock and a GPIO port for control. Now let's have a look at the cards. Here we have two types of MADI card. The first has MADI on coax plus legacy optical, and the second has coax plus SFP. In both cases, they can handle up to 64 channels in each direction at 48 kHz. Now, you can only use one format per card, so just coax on one card and just SFP, for example. If you wanted to convert 64 channels of MADI from coax to optical, then you'd need two cards. Now let's take a look at the Dante card. This card can receive 64 channels of Dante and send 64 channels, all at 48 kHz. This of course would halve to 32 by 32 at 96 kHz. It's a standard Brooklyn card based implementation, so you have both primary and secondary RJ45 connections for redundancy, plus we give you an additional 2 network ports for extra flexibility. I'd also like to introduce the AVB card. Now, AVB is a relatively new protocol, and of course now we also have AVB Milan, which is kind of an extension to AVB. While AVB governs how we get audio from device A to device B, for example, Milan tells device A how to talk to device B. Basically, it's an extra layer to AVB that ensures all of the Milan compliant manufacturers play well together and all interpret the standard in the same way. AuviTran's AVB card can handle up to 32 inputs and 32 outputs at 48 kHz, or 16 in each direction at 96K. Here's our three AES cards. First we have the 16 in, 16 out, or 8 2 channels in and 8 by 2 channels out. All of these on D sub 25 pin connectors, which gives us quite a lot of I/O density on a small panel. Next we have our 8 channel input card on XLR, and finally our 8 output channel also on XLR. All of our AES inputs have individual SRCs, or sample rate converters, and this makes it easy to mix and juggle multiple sources on different clocks. We also have analog I/O cards. Remember analog? It's what we used to use back when we could understand how our systems connected together. So we have 2 analog input cards. One of them is a line level card, switchable from plus 10 to plus 24 dBu, and one of them is a mic line card with phantom power. Both have variable gain or attenuation, which is adjustable in half dB steps. And as I should have said earlier, everything we do is high quality. We use excellent A to D converters and supporting electronics to give you the best sound quality. There's also a 4-channel analog output card with XLR connectors and a combined 4 in, 4 out card on Euroblock connectors, again with great converters and variable gain. To help connect up all of the other networked equipment that we have, we also give you a network switch card option. This gives you 2 5-port switches, each with 4 ports on copper, RJ45s, and 1 on SFP. You can link these together to give you a 10 port or an 8 RJ45 plus 2 SFP switch, or keep them separate, maybe for primary and secondary. These are also managed switches, so you can add VLANs and so on as required. In addition to all this I/O, we also have a DSP card, which we can use in 2 different ways, either as an asynchronous sample rate converter or as a DSP for signal processing. Now, when this is configured as an asynchronous SRC, you can matrix up to 128 I/O channels at 2 different clock frequencies or clock domains, and you can add multiple DSP cards, up to 3 in fact, allowing you to matrix up to 4 by 128 I/O channels with 4 different clocks, for example, one for Dante, one for AVB, one for MADI, and another for AES. That's if you don't want to have your whole system clocked together. In DSP mode, you can use this as 64 separate mixers with 64 audio inputs, and you can apply up to 128 8-band parametric EQs, 128 limiters and compressors, 128 blocks of delay, each with up to 2.7 seconds, giving you a total of 350 seconds of delay. That's all at 48 kHz. If you want to run at 96, then you halve those numbers, a 32 by 32 mix at 175 seconds of delay, and so on. Here's a little demo of the software interface. Here you can see some of the input channels and metering. We have an EQ window, and here you can see the 8 bands of parametric EQ. And there's the output meters, and so on. I should also mention that we do have cards for legacy protocols. Here you can see our cards for EtherSound, CobraNet, and ADAT. So if you need to interface a new Dante front end with an old CobraNet system, for example, well, we can make that happen. Now let's go back quickly to that interface for the audio toolbox. The software is called AVS Monitor. As I showed you earlier, this will give you a complete overview of the system, metering for all the I/O, and allow you to monitor and assign your clocks, set up presets, GPIO, and so on. Clicking on the matrix button will take you to our matrix page. Here we have a simple cross-point matrix where you can route individual channels or group them together as we have into blocks of 8, for example. Okay, so that was our audio toolbox. I'm now very briefly going to show you the breakout boxes, which, as you can see, are pretty self-explanatory. All of our Dante breakout boxes have dual redundant Dante primary and secondary connections. They can all be powered over PoE, or you can apply an external DC power supply. Again, all of these benefit from our high quality A to D converters and electronics, extremely low noise floors, and very high dynamic range. On the left, you can see our AE4 I/O, which has 2 mic line inputs and 2 line outputs. Then there's the AE8 I/O, which has 4 mic line ins and 4 outputs, and there's also the AEG6 I/O, which has 2 mic line inputs, 4 line outputs, plus 4 GPIOs for control. Next, there's the AS8 I/O, which offers 4 mic line inputs, 4 line outputs, all on a D-sub, along with 2 SFP cages for network connectivity, and there's an Ethercon to connect to the network and to apply PoE power, for example. The ADE8 I/O has copper RJ45 network connections, plus 2 in, 2 out, 4 GPIOs, 1 stereo AES in, and 1 stereo AES out. Finally, we have the ADX8 I/O, which has 2 SFPs, 1 Ethercon, 2 mic line inputs, 2 line outputs, an AES input and output, and 4 GPIOs, all on a D-sub. And here's the control interface, which of course will vary depending on the unit in question. We also have an app for iPad or Android control in addition to Windows or Mac OS. Finally, we have our Dante IO wall panels. These are all PoE powered and available with a kit to fit US size 2-gang wall boxes. We have 4 models, the DT4IE LE, which offers 2 mic line inputs on XLRs plus a stereo mini jack input. It has an internal mixer, 48 volts phantom power, and we also have a Bluetooth input option. The DT4i takes all of that and adds a rotary encoder for local control. In the output configuration, there's the DT4O LE, which gives you 2 line outputs on XLR plus a stereo mini jack output along with a Bluetooth option, and the DT4O. This gives you two outputs on XLR, a Bluetooth option, and we've added a rotary encoder and a 4-row, 8-character per row OLED screen. So there you have our quick overview of the AuviTran range. If you'd like more information or to arrange a demonstration, please get in touch. Here's our contact info, or if you visit our website, you can find the contact info for your local AuviTran sales rep. Thanks for watching.